Hey y'all, how's it going? I'm trading the ES futures on a 2000 tick chart with a 21 EMA. So I've got the overnight high up here and the overnight low down here. These are our key levels. And I started trading at 8 Central Time, which is this area right here. And starting off, we had this uptrend that formed in the overnight session. And we have this two-legged break here, which, of course, two-legged breaks, I do want to explain something about that. But after the two-legged break, we get a couple attempts at a new high before we go into basically a reversal for the rest of the day. But about these two-legged breaks, so if you understand what a two-legged break is, you know that it might have been a little confusing to learn at first, because when this uptrend gets a break, and we start pushing higher here, it's clear that we have uptrend, break, first attempt higher, second attempt higher. And we know that when a trend gets a break, it'll try to make two attempts at a new extreme. But price action levels get bigger as more time goes on. And so after you get these first couple attempts higher here, we continue forming price action. We can clearly tell that this is a two-legged break. Price will attempt things in twos, including breakouts. We're breaking out of this channel here, so we break out in two legs, and then we have these couple attempts at making a new high. So you just got to play each price action level as they form. You got to take it one level at a time, basically. So uptrend, we have this two-legged break, and then we have that first attempt higher, second attempt higher, failure. So that's what I just wanted to explain. But yeah, at first you would see it as that first attempt higher, and then you can look to try to enter on that second attempt higher. And then after more price action forms, then you look for the bigger picture structure. So anyway, I hope that's clear. Now, the reason I don't like this long right here, even though you have these two legs down, the uptrend is expecting a new high, it's closing above the EMA, is because this measured move is still in play, and this support isn't very strong. Now I can see that it held on those bars right there, and then when you drag it over, it started finding resistance there. But this isn't like clear confirmed support. It technically could be a coincidence that it's finding support right there, because that isn't really a significant level. It's not like we're, we can tell we're going sideways here. The EMA is flat, but it's not like we have consistent support right here. So what could easily happen is it ticks higher than that green bar, stops you out trying to reach this measured move. And like if this had clear support right here, and it was like a third bounce or something, it's like very clear that we're finding support here, then I would like this even with this measured move in play, because there would be something blocking this measured move. But I didn't consider this to be strong enough to expect this measured move to not get another attempt. So I just avoided it. We push on up here though, so now you can see we have an uptrend, two-legged break, and then we have that first attempt higher, and then we bounce off that overnight high, and then it attempts to reverse here, but it really just gets choppy, and then we make that second leg higher there. So as you can see, we have two legs down that direction, two legs back up, and after that second attempt to make a new high, it couldn't even reach the overnight high, it just failed down. And so this is an area where you'd expect a reversal. The uptrend is two attempts higher, you're off the overnight highs. This is just where reversals happen. So you can look to find a short. Now I don't like this one right here, because kind of like from over here, now this measured move is still in play, and it's not directly off of this support up here, which means it could still attempt to reach that measured move, and even if it doesn't reach it, if it merely reaches this overnight high, then you'll be stopped out. And so if we had gotten off of the overnight high, if it set up better, I can't foresee how it could have possibly else set up, but if we had actually reached the overnight high, we would have a much higher chance of getting a short right here. But so I don't like any shorts right here, but we push lower here, and then we get this lower high. And now this is a lower high right after these two attempts higher. And so, once again, we're expecting a reversal. We have this trap bar. Basically, it ticked higher than that green bar, and it just immediately started running down, hitting stops, basically. Because when you see it trigger higher like that and then just sell off very strongly, that's telling you the sellers are coming in. It's not just a red bar, it's a trap right there. And so, considering that you got a trap bar at an area that you'd expect a reversal and it's a lower high immediately after those two attempts higher, I absolutely love that, just to ride down to these lows here. And so, and also, you know, considering that this was the second attempt higher there, we have that first leg down from making an, you know, basically a new high. We have that first attempt down, second attempt down, so, you know, we were expecting a second leg down here as well, which I didn't mean to say new high, I meant to say after the failure there. So anyway, got out at those lows right there, chopped around for a bit. It had made a couple attempts to reverse there, which of course you don't want to take that second entry short. You can see first entry short, second entry short, very choppy, closing at these lows, no way. And so we continued down. At first my trend was more like this. You know, we had this downtrend, and then had a small break, but you can tell that this is one trend right here. And so we had this trend down. We started pushing lower here, got very choppy. Unfortunately, no entries in here. You know, at first when I had it like this, I was going to try to see if I could get something off here, but it got too choppy. And then, you know, you don't want to enter short on that. It's right into these lows anyway. But then when I extended it here, these lows did fit well. We had this break, so now we just reversed up from the highs. We have this downtrend break, and when a downtrend gets a break, we can expect price to make a new low, just like with this uptrend. We had a break. We attempted to make a new high. It was unsuccessful, and it failed. Now, you know, basically from the momentum of that failure, we can look to make a new low for this downtrend. And so, ideally, in this area, what would have happened was we just get a clear push below and get a nice, clear, failed second entry, expecting to make a new low for this downtrend. That would have been a great looking trade, but unfortunately it just plummets down, it gets choppy, doesn't reach the EMA, and then continues down even further. And so, you know, you can tell that there's a couple legs down there, but on a bigger picture that really is just one leg down. And after this downtrend, you know, this purple downtrend had a break in a new low, I drew this wider trend just to see how it ends up holding. Excuse me. And I want to talk about this trade right here, because I did kind of overlook something on this trade. I barely got out with one tick there. So I do want to address this. And I know why. I believe I know why it ended up not doing as well as I wanted it to. I wanted it to just plummet on out. But we'll get to it when we get to it. So I kind of forgot where I was. Yeah, right here. So you can tell it's one leg down on a bigger picture right there. We attempted to reverse. Now, you know, it is just a first entry, unfortunately, so you can't just enter short right there. And you cannot take that as a failed second entry either. Some may try to say, you know, first entry long, second entry long failure. Absolutely not, because one, you know, if you did start drawing this wider uptrend, you would see that you are off of these lows, and you want to see two attempts when coming off one side. But even besides from that, this downtrend right here just had a break and two legs down to a new low, followed by a first entry. I mean, this is an area that you'd expect it to probably reverse on higher here. And so, you know, if you're going to continue down, you need to see two attempts, not one attempt, because it could very easily, you know, tick lower and try to reach this, you know, this trend line up here. Just from these two swings, it'll try to make the third bounce. And so, you know, you can't, you know, it's just not high probability there, unfortunately. We push lower here, then we start pushing back up. Now this is where, this is the trade that I wanted to address this further. I was going to address it further on the website, but I didn't have time to type it all. I wanted to save it for this video. So you can see that there's two legs up right there, but it is kind of borderline, because you can tell that on a bigger picture, this is absolutely just one leg up. Now, like, compare this right here to this. Now we can tell that there's really no confusing this. This is just clearly one leg and one leg only. But right here, you know, we do have this push up, a break, and then another push up. And when it's borderline like this, what I should have done is I should have waited for some kind of lower high. Not just because it's borderline, but the reason that I believe it was borderline is because since this downtrend just had this break and a couple legs down, it was trying to spike out of here and reverse. And so it did end up having that break, and I think that is why this trade ended up doing good enough to get out for 1-to-1. But clearly there were traders trying to reverse here, and this did end up acting as one leg. We clearly got two legs out of there, and then it started finding resistance around that measured move. So this was a borderline two legs back. It did, like, I could see the two legs, but I also knew, like, this is definitely one leg on a bigger picture. And so when it's borderline right after a downtrend playing out, you just got to be careful. Now this trend line was holding, which I want to adjust that a little bit, make it perfect. So this trend line, it clearly was, it was finding resistance off of it, and and the lows were fitting, so to me it looked valid. But once again, this downtrend right here, it did still have a couple attempts at a new low, and so you want to see two legs attempting to reverse before you go short, and it was just borderline. And so I'm not surprised it didn't go down as far as I wanted it to. I should have waited on some kind of lower high. So ultimately, the point I'm making about this is when you're two legs up, or borderline being one leg, and it's a little bit difficult to tell if it's right after another downtrend playing out, you might want to be safe, wait on something lower, because it's clearly trying to spike out of there, in reverse. And so barely got out of that one right there within one tick. It went one tick enough, and I entered with a stop order. So I really barely got filled there. But anyway, we push on up here. We try to reverse out of here. We get another leg up, and it starts to stall past that measured move. And this right here, now we have downtrend break, and we can expect a new low. And so downtrend break, it started getting a little bit choppy up here, and it held on the EMA there. It rushed back above. It did push lower here, but I would avoid this because at this point it really does just look like it's holding above the EMA. It kind of it closed below for a little bit, but it really mostly just bounced back up. And so what I would want to see is, rush below and then a hold below, not a hold above and then barely closing below. It's just too risky to enter on stuff like that. If we had gotten something like this where we rush below and push back up, if we could have gotten that here, we could have gotten some kind of good lower high, or maybe a failed second entry. But unfortunately, when it's holding above like that, I don't want to enter on something like that. So we push lower here, we get this first leg down. So now we have downtrend break, first leg down, and then we start making the second leg down right here. And it got choppy. It was just sideways. There's no good entry right here, unfortunately. And by the time you get this right here, you can say, is that a failed second entry? You can see first entry long, second entry long, failure. But of course there is a problem with that. So the problem being, it is just straight up too low. How they say buy low, sell, buy low, sell high. This is just selling really low, and also it looks like there could be some support across right here. I mean, it's holding pretty well right there. I'm sure if I draw a trend line, we can clearly tell that there's something there. And considering you already have two legs down, I get it, the measured move is not quite reached, but you don't want to enter, short right after two spikes down. A good failed second entry, you're not entering at the low of the move, you're entering in a deep pullback in the move. And even though you got that pullback right there, look where your entry is. It's literally at the low. So this is not a good looking trade. You want to be pulled back when you're in a failed second entry. You don't want to just be spiking down. And also, not to mention, it already pushed out. And as soon as it pushed out of this level right here, it started reversing back higher. So that started fading. It didn't even want to push all the way down to that measured move. It wanted to fade. And so you don't want to enter short into that. You might say, oh, okay, what about breakout pullback? You're basically fighting two legs down versus, this overnight low right here. So there's going to be reason to look to buy and a reason to look to sell. Just sit on your hands at that point. We push lower here, and at this point, it's very clearly going into this downtrend. And so we have this downtrend right here. we push lower again, we reach that measured move, we get a first entry. Once again, I see that tick lower there. I don't care about that tick lower, I just see one leg higher right there. And so it's not good enough, it's just one leg higher. We continue down, another one leg higher, doesn't reach anything, we push on lower. We break the trend line here. We have a couple attempts lower. It is starting to look a bit sideways here. But what I would want to see is if we push out of here, because even though this downtrend has a break new low, on a big picture, you zoom out, if we get a clear push up here, like if we say we get a spike up to here, that's going to be the first break. I'm not going to look at that and say the downtrend is played out the way that I would say, which of course this downtrend is from here. So eventually you would be trading basically small picture stuff. But this is a good place for a reversal because the downtrend has played out. Clear downtrend, break, sharp push to a new low. So from here, a failed second entry holding above the EMA, that would be our best bet, which that could happen soon. So I might actually stick around for a bit to see if that can happen, see if I can catch something. But I probably won't stay for another 30 minutes. But anyway, so that's going to do it for this video. I hope it helped out in some way. I really appreciate you watching it. And, yep, we'll see you all next time.